Hello, everyone. Welcome to Smart Investing. My name is Albert, owner of Smart Investing, and today is May 18th, Sunday, 1:02 a.m. I'm gonna open up my screen a little bit more. So here we go. Topic for as of right now, we're gonna talk about Main Street versus Wall Street. Ongoing rivalry, ongoing friendship. Uh, I talked about this last year. Main Street versus Wall Street. So we have the big firms, the big names, the BlackRocks, the Goldman Sachs, JP Morgans, Morgan Stanley, uh, all the big boys, Blackstone, they're all there. When it comes to the retail investor, people on Main Street, average Americans, uh, we don't make millions of dollars every year. We're just trying to provide for our families, make a good living, uh, house and a car, standard living, just trying to make ends meet. Uh, we know that inflation is a real killer on families, even in the past decades. What I will say on Main Street is that uh, I'm doing okay, but I know there are people worse situations than myself that are struggling. It sucks to see that this is the main thing that people don't understand. A real hot topic, very hot topic, people are not aware of. Because again, money affects us all. But here's the kicker. To raise a family, right? Obviously, it costs money. You have expenses. You're gonna have daycare. Raising a child, we have people, and mind you, I'm in my late 30s, mid late 30s. When I was younger, and I was living in New York, I wasn't sure if I was going to afford to have a child and raise a child in New York City. I'm talking about in the 2010s, around 2015 to 2015. I never thought about moving back, but what I'm saying is, this is about 15 years ago. Fast forward 15 years later, it is going to cost way more as of right now to bring a child into this world. I don't really know where people live at, but cost of living has gone up. What makes you think that people, young people, even younger than me, starting their careers, high school students, people in their 20s, early 30s, I can imagine that people are struggling, whether they have a good job or not, but they know for a fact that having a child is, as of right now, a yes or no decision. People are unsure of having kids. We're living at a time where people do not want to have kids because it costs too damn much. That sucks to say, so guess what? That means in a span of 10 years, everybody's going to be 10 years older, right? But put it this way, 10 years from now, we're shrinking the population in the US because people and younger people are not able to even, you know, have a good cost of living, and they can't even support themselves. That makes you think they're going to support a family, or even single parents, marriage, not. What makes you think people are going to support kids to raise a family? Again, we're living in a time totally opposite from our parents and our grandparents, where you do not need just one income for the whole family to survive. You need multiple incomes. I'm sure people my age can agree with that. Older people than me, in retirement age, older than 60, we cannot agree on that. People older than us, our parents and our grandparents, we're living in a different time frame. Totally different time frame. We cannot afford things like we used to. That's still ongoing as of right now. So again, the population is shrinking. So that means even if they open jobs and jobs and jobs throughout this decade, there are going to be less people applying for positions, and we're going to have a less population in this country. And on top of that, AI is taking over on top of that. So it's putting even added pressure as to why, even as a business owner, whatever, why should we even have more kids as a society in the United States if, one, we can't afford kids like we used to, two, AI is already taking jobs over anyway in so many sectors, manufacturing, maybe even shipping. Uh, when I'm talking about shipping, I'm sure, overall, not only through containers and marines, in the marine freights and all that, even on the road through trucks and all that. There have been so-called concepts of driving vehicles when it comes to trucks, but that hasn't taken, a full step, for a full acceleration for this to be implemented. And we're actually seeing, it's not like we're living in a world right now where there's selfless trucks driving. We haven't seen it to that capacity as of yet. But what I'm saying is, we're still in that development stage, where we want to proceed to that. And when we get there, that is going to be the norm. Yes, you might start off small. We're already starting with drones and all that, so it's only going to get to a wider span and a wider variety as to how technology is being managed in our daily lives in different sectors, and how it's impacting us as we live our lives. So again, the population is going to decrease, and then that decrease, what's going to alleviate that, what's going to balance that out, is going to be AI. So this is why I can see AI happening for certain things, but to rule over our lives in the fast pace that we're going, it's gonna be pretty nuts. Imagine everything that you do is just AI. I mean, what can we do? What kind of skills are we gonna need? We're gonna need probably programming skills. Obviously, skilled labor is never gonna go out of style, because if something's malfunctioning, we're gonna need mechanics or electrical and engineers, or things got to be fixed. Nothing is going to work 100% of the time throughout its entirety and guaranteed through its 100% life and lifespan. There's always going to be times where things are going to need maintenance, and this is why I chose the field that I chose. But we need to also start thinking as a country, what curriculum, what knowledge and what skills, what are going to be teaching in the future that's going to be in demand. Yes, we're talking about AI and things are being implemented, and everybody wants to be an AI expert, but we're still in the concept stage. Like, we're still learning how this works, what it does, what capacity this can learn at. We have various sources of AI, People are competing against each other when it comes to companies. I mean, the list goes on and on. So again, the Wall Street and Main Street dynamic, it's only getting worse. Uh, People are mentally ill, uh, especially in major cities. Things are just getting worse and worse and worse. The dynamic, and it all, again, Wall Street and Main Street, again, we all have the relationship with money. Sorry about that. We all have the relationship with money because we need money to, I wouldn't say, well, we use it as a society and our social needs and our daily living. We obviously need money to survive because, you know, things got to be paid for. We need goods, services, and all that good stuff. So, other than that, again, with our daily lives, Wall Street sees it one way as to making money. Main Street sees it as, you know, how are we going to be using our money? Because again, we're the ones that are consuming. So other than that, people are getting stressed as to the relationship with money, meeting needs. So the potential to earn money and the ratio as to the rich billionaires and maybe even some millionaires as to earning money, the imbalance of society and income levels, they're expanding even more. That's just a fact. Really, what kind of CEO needs $23 million a year, every year, to survive on? Like literally, us thinking as a society, do they really need that much money to survive in order to meet their financial needs? Like, do they really need like 20 planes? I mean, the math in itself just doesn't make sense. Again, I understand that, you know, playing the stock market gets you rich. It is what it is. But again, there's also corruption and different imbalances in the stock market game where things are unfair and injustice is created. Why do companies buy share buybacks on a frequent basis? Put it this way. Why would I have to keep buying out my own company and shares and shares and shares of it to only increase the stock price and make it seem like I'm beating estimates, when in reality, if companies didn't do that, they'd probably be at a loss. And again, this is only one variation as to what's happening in the market. There's so many loopholes that people get around that, you know, people are stuck at the bottom. I'm here to level the playing field. Again, Wall Street lacks transparency and they're very complacent, too laid back, a lot of lip service. Again, I'm just stating the facts. I'm just saying it for what it is. People might say I'm doing lip service right now. I could see that. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not doing that. Watch my past videos, and I'm actually working as I'm talking. I'm not actually just talking throughout the whole time. So, this is not a podcast. Again, this is just an annual feedback, giving you information. It's not advice, it's just information, research, and a viewpoint as to how I view the financial community as a whole, Wall Street and Main Street. So again, it's a friendly environment, but also a rivalry as well. But again, we don't need Wall Street to succeed. Wall Street needs us to succeed. the dynamic between rich and poor or good and evil, this is ongoing. This is always an ongoing issue. And then this is how I kind of humor myself with it, because you see it in movies, you see like the imbalance. You always see the imbalance. You always see the fight between those two existences. And then we can relate to it because it's actually happening. And then I also like to refer myself as like either Batman or Superman, because I've made such an strong impact on my results that where when I say something, do something, and I'm gonna state something, it actually happens, and it's pretty impactful. It's pretty striking. People don't know what to think about that. People think that I can tell the future, and they have like this perception of me as to where they think I'm a form of Superman, which I find humorous, but also it's pretty truthful. It's pretty accurate as to the way the intelligence is, and I'll just leave it at that. And the way, how can I say? I don't want to say too much, but not too little. But yeah, let's just leave it at that. The way I display my heroism, just put it that way. I'm trying to just do good in the world, in a world where there's just too much financial stress, mental stress. People talk about money all the time. Families talk about it. Students, young professionals. Again, I think people are struggling more with their money, and we're having talks about that more frequently because, again, cost of living and inflation and all that. And then Wall Street just having a party like they always do. But hopefully, now Wall Street wants to, recognize the Main Street investor, and now they're trying to create that balance. And hopefully I have met people in the middle and gotten people along to coincide to come to an agreement as to Main Street. I want to say we really need Wall Street, but they need to respect Main Street, and Wall Street needs Main Street more than ever. And it's not the other way around. It's not that we're dependent on them. Because put it this way, when people start businesses, and then we're living in a total. It's just weird how the way we're living our lives versus our grandparents, total opposites. That everybody wants to work for themselves, be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be Mr. Popular, Mrs. Popular. Everybody wants to be somebody. I don't care about that. Again, I just want to, provide for my family, and that's pretty much it. Just live it out. Again, a lot of people have this fascination with money, and to me, money isn't everything. Yes, it's important, but it's not everything. Doesn't fulfill me personally. Again, yes, it's important, but still. And again, the relationship with money, some people have different ways as to how they want to start their business. They want to go through rounds of funding and seeding and all that. I don't want to do that. Like, the reason being is because you don't really see the truth behind Wall Street until you are with Wall Street. Again, these are people that all know each other. They all sound the same. They're all gonna be trying to be bullish, and um, if I wanted to be a Wall Streeter, I'd have to kind of be fake about who I am, or put it this way, I would have to be more in agreement with other people to kind of fit in, and that's just not me. That's just not me. It's okay to have disagreements, and then it's okay to have inaccuracies, but you learn from them, and you only get better from there. So, for example, when I do my research, right? Let's say you put 100 people all in a classroom from each firm. Let's say I'm there. We take an exam of 20 questions. Once we turn in that paper for our exam and that is graded, you cannot take that paper back and say, hey, I want to revise that and change my answer because I think I'm wrong, after the person already graded it, just so you could know the answer and feel like that you were right. It doesn't work that way. Things do not work that way. If anything, in my book and the reality of it, you're only getting more inaccurate. See, and this is what I can't support with Wall Street when they want to make revisions. And I'm going to clearly state that we are in a state for this year, we are in a period of time where we are slowing down. I can't really say the R word. People don't like it on Wall Street. You know what the R word is. I haven't said it in years because, again, the market got so manipulated that when we had a yield curve, and based on my indicator for accuracy using that yield curve, it was thrown out the window. And basically, they say on Wall Street, oh, that indicator is not going to work anymore, so we're just going to print more money and dismiss that. So now, the indicator, I wouldn't say it's not trustworthy, but it's just not as accurate. Again, when I was using it 10 years ago, 100% accuracy. When I mentioned it, it lowered the accuracy. Guess what? Why? Because other people above me decided to revise it and make it look like that I was inaccurate. Fine, I'll take it. It hasn't worked in the last 5 years, but guess what? All things gonna come to fruition, because now, aside from the yield curve, there are other indicators that are telling me things are gonna get worse, and the more we keep delaying it, things are gonna get even worse and worse and worse. I'm not trying to be bearish, I'm just stating the facts. Again, there's certain things in life where, yes, we can have good sentiment, and we have bad sentiment and neutral. But once we keep delaying things where it's an issue and it's already a problem, and we keep delaying it, putting it in the back burner, it's only creating a bigger problem. This is what Wall Street does not understand. They think that, we can leverage money to infinity, and it does not work like that. I was wrong about, again, I'm going to own up to my mistakes. A lot of stuff I have been right about. I was right about the bank crisis back in 2022, and the prior years before that. There were 2 bank crises. I was somewhat correct on the war, or something was going to break out, a downtrend. I didn't think it was going to be a war, but I knew it was going to be a downtrend between Ukraine and Russia. I knew that something crazy was going to happen. and I was actually doing competition, online competition, and I have video proof for my videos. I was doing an online competition in 2022 where uh, I was competing against other investors and to see how my performance was doing. And so when that happened, I entered the contest. And so when that happened, when that happened, uh, all hell broke loose. And I took advantage of that. Those software companies that were with the whole hacking thing, and then the whole industries with uh, drones, and then aerospace and defense, and then also software, and then obviously the technology. So that came into play, and then I won a contest with that. So again, Wall Street again has a lot of issues. I still watch a lot of sources from the media, obviously Bloomberg, but I just, you know, I hear from these people, and a lot of these people just sound the same, to be honest. Um, Maybe it's because they're frightened to get fired if they say certain things, and they try to be a little bit more agreeable. I know they're on certain sources, and maybe some things they can't really say what they want to say, but honesty is always the best policy, which is why I have succeeded in my own right in the financial world, and I hope to continue that. So again, with the whole Main Street versus Wall Street thing, uh, when I was working, and I started here in Florida, I myself, by myself, I've turned over 3 companies with my hard work, and this is aside from the financial work that I've done. Uh, I've I've saved companies money throughout my time. I've managed my time better, uh, consumption of resources as well. I've done overall a management position that I wasn't supposed to just because of the fact that I'm a natural leader. And this is where it got me to today, where I've became a manager and also assistant manager. But then it's just the responsibilities with that. It comes with the territory. And again, everybody manages different, but when I turned over companies 3 times and made them extremely profitable, the third time, they say a third time's a charm, I started to notice that uh, I became a big factor as to why these companies made money, and they didn't say anything about it, but I could tell I was very important as an asset to companies because they decided to sell. That doesn't happen very often where I've worked at a company and then 4 or 5 years or 3 down the line, they're doing really good and wow, they just want to sell. So anyhow, it led me to believe where I know for a fact that I have a gift as to being a really good leader and I guess inspire people or have people do the right thing and be more accommodating when it comes to doing their work in a workplace and also having a good workplace in general. Fairly easy to work with. Again, ever since I've been to Florida, I've just been working the way I want. So I really do enjoy it compared to anywhere else in the world. Uh, Wall Street is also taking notice that Florida is the place to be, as you can see. That I'm in Central Florida. A lot of people talk about Miami, love Miami. It's just overcrowded. Reminds me of NYC. Too overcrowded, too expensive, too noisy, too much for me. It's just too much. Central is where I like to just live it out. This is where this is where it's at for me. I don't mind visiting. I visit South Florida every now and then for affiliations and conferences. Every now and then, maybe once or twice a year, depending on the event. But other than that, I like to keep a low profile. You know, I'm not here to, you know, be Mr. Popular. I just want people to understand and also get feedback and data as to their financial situations. So, other than that, the fight is still on between Wall Street and Main Street. I know Wall Street has a capacity for funding, but then when it comes to the ideas, implementations, and the success, it's more likely that Main Street wins in that category. So, again, I hope that what did I learn from this video when it comes to Main Street versus Wall Street? I always ask myself that because it's just so important. When it comes to Wall Street, it's just still the same. Still the same. What can I say good about Wall Street? The funding, and they have the capabilities, but they have to hire the right talent, the right people, the right mindsets, the right intelligence, the right potential. I'm blessed to be naturally gifted to see things that other people don't see and to share my knowledge in a certain way where it's simplistic, even though I have to digest it and see it as complex. So I guess I am a teacher in some sense, but then I also like learning. I like being on the opposite side as well. So yeah, it just it works out that way. I like being the teacher but also learning. If I have to choose, I like learning more than teaching. If that makes sense. So when it comes to Wall Street, it's just things aren't getting better. I will say this though. I don't know about this year, but this year has been a pretty big year. So again, aside from the yield curve, we have the GDP. That was another thing. A few years ago, bear market or contracting economy would be considered two negative GDP results. So when that came about a few years ago, they want to say that that doesn't conclude to a bear market or a downtrending market, and that we're still growing as an economy. And then basically they tried to say that they changed the meaning of it, and this is the government, central bank, whoever the hell's in charge there. They're trying to say that that wasn't the right decision and that wasn't the real meaning of negative GDP or negative growth, that we're still doing okay. I highly doubt it. Yes, in certain aspects, yes. In other areas, no. Let's stop pretending that everything is okay, every single thing is okay when it's not. We were on the verge of World War III. I mentioned that one time. I don't mean to spook anybody out, but the tensions between our country versus other countries at the time, things were very explosive and at a high level of tension, which needed to cool down because leaders are very unpredictable, especially leaders of countries. So other than that, I will say this. What I'm starting to respect on Wall Street are the bond vigilantes. I don't know if these are other countries But here's another thing too. Aside from the negative GDP growth rates, so I mentioned the yield curve, the GDP, and there was one more thing for the negative. Yes, the R word. Last time we had a recession, I don't know if people want to call it, it was in 2020. But again, you look at the stock market, and then 2 months later, everything went back up. Is 2020 really considered a recession? Because the one before that, it was in 2008. So we're close to almost 20 years. We're 3 years away, shy of 20 years without a recession. I mean, does that ring bells or no? Because from my understanding, things are getting worse, and so I'm not saying everything, but very important things are getting worse, and Wall Street needs to understand that now us as a country, we are losing credibility as a country, which leads me to my next topic. Is going to be U.S. exceptionalism. So, Wall Street, I'm going to cut this short. Wall Street, be prepared. Other countries are noticing, and we are supposed to be the leader of the world as a country, and this year has proven that. And especially this week. This week was crucial. The markets went up. It is what it is. It can go up another 100% by next month, 200% by the end of the year. I really don't care at this point. It's rule number one that people fail to realize: the stock market is not the economy. Other countries are taking notice. And again, this is going to lead to my next topic. But Monday, we handed over the reins to China as a leader in the country. We failed to realize as a country that we are not a global exporter. We're starting to be, but we need to do a better job of being an exporter, not just an importer and consuming so much. The debt levels are unsustainable. We need to start treating this country as a business. When I evaluate companies, if I see a company even at 100% debt levels, I say to myself, why is this company even in the stock market? This needs to be either taken care of, better management, and turn it over, or this company needs to be delisted. And if you rename the company, you're just going to do even worse. So try to spin off another ticker name, because I've seen it done. Spin off another ticker name, and then use the bad debt and throw that into the ticker name, and think you could run away off like magic, and like as if nothing ever happened, and having the bad debt, and then all of a sudden that gets delisted. People take notice. It's people like me that take notice of the corruption, manipulation, and the dishonorable and disgusting things that go on in the stock market, just so people can have it their way. And it should be fair game when it's not. I'm just saying it for what it is. So other than that, I don't know who the bond vigilantes are. I'm staying away from that, but I'm keeping an eye on it, if that makes any sense. I am looking at that bond indicator like crazy. That is definitely an indicator that bond investors are getting fed up. I don't know if it was foreign countries. I haven't really researched that to its full extent. I'm not an expert when it comes to bonds, but keeping an eye on bonds this year is going to be an interesting perspective and interesting insight for this year. definitely, definitely. That I have in another topic as well. So, on to my next topic, US exceptionalism. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in